shotgun shells all over the side. There's what?
Blood all over the side.
She's a Fulton County mother charged with killing her 2 sons by putting them inside of an oven.
Celebrate her homegoing. It's her new home for the rest of her life until she takes her last breath. It's going to be Florida State Prison.
I'm innocent. You all, you're garbage.
This is Michelle Blair, a 35-year-old Detroit mother of 4 who's facing charges for multiple murders in Michigan.
Do it without you. I never tried to say I didn't. I did it, but that does not negate the fact that they were never there for their children. I had to struggle with them all the time. They were never there.
Michelle was struggling to pay rent. On March 24, 2015, officials came to evict her. Shockingly, they found a freezer with the frozen remains of her children, Stoney Blair and Stephen Barry.
Why did you take the decision to pile the bodies on top of each other in a freezer? Why did you do that?
I only had one deep freezer.
How did you conceivably sleep at night?
I slept well.
They quickly called the police, and Michelle was arrested. The frozen bodies were taken to the morgue, and the medical examiner determined that the children had been dead for at least 3 years and ruled it a homicide. But brace yourself for an even more disturbing revelation: Michelle's twisted justification for the brutal slaying. Michelle confessed to the murders of her children, but she claimed that she killed them because she believed they were sexually abusing her youngest son, Matthew. According to Blair, after she discovered the abuse, she tortured Stephen until he died.
There is no evidence in this case that any of the younger children or the younger child was sexually abused. Abundant evidence that the surviving children were physically abused by this defendant.
9 months later, Blair claimed she found out that her daughter Stoney was also sexually abusing Matthew. She then starved and beat Stoney to death in May 2013.
My understanding to get a trial is to get to the truth, right? I'm already saying that I did it. I'm freely giving myself and accepting life in prison. My son is worth that to me. So what I don't understand is, from what I heard today, why the prosecutors are dragging their feet. If I'm already giving myself to you, like, hey, I did this, what's the problem? I'm not gonna come back like, oh, I didn't understand my rights. I'm not a coward.
During the trial, Blair didn't show any regret for what she had done, and she stuck to her belief that her actions were justified.
The Dorsey family, down to the mother, to the father, to everybody. I hope y'all live your life well without seeing my child, Gabrielle Blair. You lived well without seeing them throughout their whole life, so live well now. But you ain't got nothing to say to me for what I did for my child, period.
In June 2015, she pleaded guilty to the 2 cases of first-degree premeditated murder and was sentenced to life in prison.
You're therefore sentenced to the Michigan Department of Corrections for the rest of your life without the possibility of parole, meaning, of course, that you will never get out.
However, this wasn't the only time a mom was sentenced to life imprisonment. Take, for example, the case of 53-year-old Kimberly Kessler, a former hairstylist who had been working with Jolene Cummings at a hair salon in Florida when the two had a disagreement. After the disagreement, 34-year-old Jolene Cummings tragically lost her life, and her remains were found in a landfill. After a thorough investigation, Kessler was arrested. However, it was revealed that she had been living for 2 decades as a fugitive. She was charged with first-degree murder. Just when you thought Kessler couldn't sink any lower, her behavior in the courtroom will leave you stunned. During her trial, Kimberly Kessler exhibited disturbing behavior that shocked those present.
Push just put me back on myself.
Ma'am, come back.
I want to get rid of the public defender's office.
Jordan Beard is Jolene Cummings' cousin.
Jordan Beard is Jolene's cousin.
Jordan Beard, Jolene Cummings' cousin.
Jordan Beard is Johnson's nephew. Jordan Beard is Jolene Cummings' cousin.
Jordan Beard, public defender, is Jolene Cummings' cousin.
Unfortunately, her abnormal conduct continued beyond the courtroom. Prison officials testified that she persistently made vulgar statements, refused to eat, and engaged in unsanitary actions, like spreading feces on her cell windows and throwing it at officials. In the end, Kimberly Kessler received a life sentence without parole for the murder of Jolene Cummings. However, let's compare the jaw-dropping reaction of Kimberly Kessler to the astonishing outburst by 29-year-old Julissa Thaler. Julissa is facing charges for the murder of her son. She and her ex-husband, Torrey Hart, had been in a custody battle over 6-year-old Eli. Eventually, she was awarded custody of the child in May 2022. 1 week after, on May 19, 2022, Julissa Thaler reportedly fired 9 shotgun shells into 6-year-old Eli. On May 20, 2022, Thaler was pulled over for driving a car with smashed windows. The police discovered a live shotgun shell and a bullet hole in the car's back seat.
Shotgun shells all over this. There's what?
Blood all over the car.
They also noticed the blood on her hands and face, and when they inspected the vehicle,
Holy we got a body. All right, let's cover it.
They found the lifeless body of Eli Hart in the trunk. Julissa was promptly arrested. The true shock lies not in the crime itself, but in Julissa's jaw-dropping behavior during the sentencing. During the proceedings, Julissa showed no remorse and only said this:
I'm innocent. You all, you're garbage.
It came to light that Eli had been placed in foster care in January 2021 due to concerns about Julissa's mental well-being. Eli's father had previously raised alarms about Julissa's history of drug abuse. After his son's death, he filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Dakota County. In the end, Hennepin County District Court Judge Jay Quam sentenced Julissa to life in prison with no possibility of parole.
You are being sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
However, while Julissa's actions could certainly be dismissed as an effect of drug abuse, the same can't be said for the case of 24-year-old Ashley Jessup. On August 31st, 2011, she was arrested on multiple charges, including 2 counts of sexually assaulting a child, 1 count of endangering children, and 1 count of pandering sexually oriented material involving a minor. Ashley engaged in sexual acts with her own 10-month-old infant son, recorded them, and then sent the disturbing video to her boyfriend in Battle Creek, Michigan. The case took a turn when a former girlfriend of the boyfriend discovered the horrifying video and promptly contacted the Michigan State Police. Ashley was immediately arrested and held in custody with a substantial $1 million bond.
The state is requesting $1 million cash and surety bond.
Ashley Jessup's emotions were evident as she cried. In the end, Ashley was sentenced to life imprisonment with no possibility of parole for 15 years. Her boyfriend, Jordan Russell, age 24, was sentenced to 3 to 20 years in prison. Meanwhile, the infant victim was placed in protective custody, and his father, Jonathan Vasquez, age 19, is actively seeking custody. However, just when you thought you'd seen it all, another convict surpasses Ashley's strange courtroom display.
She's a Fulton County mother charged with killing her 2 sons by putting them inside of an oven.
Enter Lamora Williams, who's facing multiple charges, including 4 counts of felony murder. The charges were connected to the murder of her 2 young children, Jacarter Penn and Keontae Penn. The horrific incident happened in October 2017, when Lamora Williams made a distressing 911 call.
My cousin in the house with my kids. She just left my kids in the house when I came back from work. 2 of my kids are dead. She left them dead in the house by themselves. She left my door open. My oldest baby boy is the only one that's alive, and they knocked the stove on. Can you listen? When I came in, the stove was laying on my friend.
When authorities arrived at the scene, they found the lifeless bodies of the toddlers with burn marks on them. The children had been placed in an oven. Lamora was later arrested and charged to court. Her sister and mother noted that Lamora suffers from schizophrenia and has a history of mental health issues.
I just came from the jailhouse to let them know to put her on suicide watch because she's going to kill herself.
Lamora had been in jail without bond since October 14, 2017. In June 2023, she waived her court appearance. Lamora's case is still ongoing. However, while Lamora's crimes may be attributed to mental illness, it pales in comparison to the unfathomable behavior of Isabel Martinez, whose family had recently relocated from Chicago. Isabel was facing many charges, including multiple counts of malice murder, aggravated assault, and cruelty to children in the 3rd degree. On July 6, 2017, Isabel woke up, seized a knife from the kitchen, and ended the lives of 4 of her children. Tragically, their father Martin awoke and bravely tried to intervene, but he too was fatally stabbed. After her rampage, Isabel placed the lifeless bodies of her family members in the same room so that they can all be together. She cut herself before making a distressing call to 911 to report their deaths, leading to her arrest. Isabel's actions were even more horrifying, as it was revealed that she told each of her children they were going to the sky to see Jesus before turning the blade on them. In court, Isabel pleaded guilty but mentally ill. The extent of Isabel Martinez's disturbing mental health problems was on full display during her court appearance.
Your preliminary hearing. So, here's the first thing that I'm going to tell you, because I am probably the first defense attorney you've seen since she got arrested. And that is, do not talk to anyone about your case. I know there's a lot of distraction and there's going on in here, but do not talk to anyone about your case. These people that you're in the courtroom with here.
Eventually, she received a life sentence with the possibility of parole on 5 counts of murder, a 20-year term for aggravated assault, and 1 month to serve on the third-degree child cruelty charge. These sentences were to be served concurrently. If you thought these reactions were shocking, you'd be amazed at the reaction of serial killers getting sentenced to death.